I hope everyone's had a great week so far. My name is Alexis Rogers, and I'm the Customer Relationship Lead here at RightCapital. And I want to thank you for joining us for today's webinar on streamlining vault management. And this is a topic we are very passionate about, which involves optimizing your workflows and client engagement using our vault features. Now, today we are going to be covering all the different ways we can leverage our vault. There's going to be a couple of factors we're going to cover, such as the client-specific vault. We're also going to be covering how you can easily manage all your clients' vaults into one efficient space in the vault management station that you also have, and how you can leverage templates with the vault in specific to really streamline your workflows as you begin creating client plans and also just having a standardized formatting for the vault if you're leveraging it often. So we're going to be covering all those different factors of the vault in RightCapital. And towards the end, we are going to be looking at all the different resources that you do have available to you when leveraging RightCapital. One of those resources being that during this webinar, if you have any questions, please feel free to use the questions dropdown and type out your questions there. More than happy to engage with anything that you wanted to also address as well. But switching gears into RightCapital, before we dive into a client-specific vault, in regards to client engagement and the moments where we're maybe looking to have the client upload documents securely into the vault, it's important that they're invited to RightCapital. So we're just going to briefly touch on the process for inviting a client, and then we're going to be diving into the client-specific vault and how we can leverage that as well. So starting in our advisor portal, one of the ways we can engage a client directly in the system is that in the client section, we're going to see our list of clients. We would search for the client we're looking to invite, and we go to the client access tab. So let's say we're looking to have the Adams family finally engage in their plan, and especially if we're looking to have them utilize the vault and upload documents from there or access the vault in general, we're going to need to grant them access to do so. So we can click on the client access tab. From there, we'll see a field to enter the email address for the client and or the co-client, and we can invite them both or one over the other. And then down below is where you start to customize the client experience. Down below is where you indicate how the client interacts with the system, starting with how they interact with the profile section. So we can indicate whether or not we want the client to be able to update the profile information, meaning can they update things like their savings, their contributions towards accounts, their expenses, or if you want them to have a view-only experience for the profile section, meaning that the client cannot change the profile section. And the very bottom is where you can indicate how the client interacts with the action items. Action items are what we use to create our proposed what-if scenarios. The first option is to have a view-only experience across the board for the client, meaning that they cannot change any action items. Or we can indicate that the client can try out different action items but not save those changes. So essentially they can see what it looks like if they retire early, see how it'll impact their plan, but once they log out, it would be reverted back to whatever you had indicated for your proposed plan. And the final option here is to indicate that the client can try out different action items and save those changes as part of their proposed strategy. Now, the very important aspect for today's conversation is going to be just guaranteeing that the client has access to the vault. By going to the planning access section, this is where you go to check off which portions of their plan that the client can access when they log into next. So whether it's a client you've already invited and you're looking to just make sure that they have access to the vault, or if it's a client that we're inviting right now, for example, we can come in and make the adjustments to grant access to additional features at any point in time in the client's relationship to RightCapital. So to the very bottom, we'll see the vault. We just want to make sure that this is checked off. And once we hit save, the next time the client logs in, whether it's directly in the RightCapital website or if they are leveraging the mobile application, they can then access the vault. Now, the mobile application is going to be one of those very popular features to be able to upload documents via the vault in the mobile application. That would also be accessible only if you have the vault checked off in the planning access tab. But now that we just walked through that pretty briefly of how to invite a client to RightCapital, let's look at the client-specific vault to start off for today. So we are going to be looking at one of our client plans, our sample client for today, the Arya Stark Baratheon family plan. And when we open up a specific client, we are going to be able to access their specific vault by clicking on the folder icon in the upper right-hand corner. Now, this is where we can securely exchange documents with the client or store documents in the client plan for this specific client. So for example, if we go to the folder icon and access the vault, we're going to see two tabs here for us. The first one is the shared folder. Now, the shared folder is where we can exchange documents with the client. So especially if they did have access to this particular tab, they would be able to view these documents that you are sharing with them here and also be able to upload documents from here as well. So here we can see which documents have already been incorporated for this client. Anything that we as an advisor have added to the vault, we're going to see an A icon to indicate that this was the advisor that added this folder or this file. Anything that the client has uploaded, you're going to see that it does not have that icon. So the client actually uploaded this file down here for us to be able to access or to store in their own vault for their own records. We're also going to see the ability to click into these existing folders, and we can add files directly here. So if we're looking to add a file to any of these existing folders that we've created, we can add a file by clicking on the Add File button. We can then drag and drop a file from our computer or our desktop. We can choose to select a file from our computer, or we can choose to upload from one of these various sources. And if we go back to the shared folder header, we also have the option to rearrange or reorder files that are outside of a folder. So for example, this wish list, we know that this is probably supposed to belong in our wish list folder. We can actually drag and drop this file to then go into the wish list folder. So that way we can organize it. So that way, even though the client uploaded it outside of the folder, that is perfectly fine. We can rearrange and organize this vault a little bit better by just dragging and dropping each of those. We'll also see 3 dots for any of the folders. If we're looking to rename the folder, we will have the option to do so by clicking on the 3 dots there. And we can also delete it by clicking on the delete button or clicking on the X button to delete this folder or file if we're needing to do so. Now, if you click back into that wish list folder, we're going to see here what other folders we have already included here in the file that we just added here as well. Now, you also see the option to check off each of the different files or folders. Now, especially if you're looking to do a mass download, so if we did have a long list of files here that we're just looking to download all at once, we can check off all of those and hit the download button to efficiently download those all at that single time. Or if we're looking to delete multiple files or folders at once, we can also do so from here. And there's also going to be the option to check off everything at once if needed, just to add that little efficiency as well. Now, if we're looking to create a new folder, we can simply click on the Create Folder button. That will then allow for us to title our new folder. So let's say we wanted to review tax documents. We can then title this, hit the check mark to save the name, and we're going to see for reference when this document or folder was uploaded or updated. So that was just today at 1:09 p.m., but we're going to see when all the other folders and files were uploaded as well for reference. Now, one of the final tabs you're going to see under the folder icon or the vault in the client-specific plan is your private folder. Now, this private folder is private to you, so this is going to be internally facing. Now, this might be where you are storing just some specific files, or maybe you're creating a folder to store some of those files into. That is going to be specific to this client plan. So if you're looking to maybe save reports or just maybe your notes from the client conversation, anything along those lines you can store here, and this is going to be specific to you. Now, the client will have their own private folder that they're going to be able to leverage, but you both are going to be able to share and exchange documents via the shared folder. So this is going to be the heart of the client-specific vault folder. If we're looking to see, because I already see this as a question, if we're looking to see and get notifications regarding client activity, but very specifically client activity in the vault, we can actually access this by going to our advisor portal and going into the notification center via the bell icon. So in the bell icon, we can change our notification selections by going to notification settings. From here, we'd want to modify what we have selected for our vault activities if we don't already have it checked off. So especially if you're looking to get that immediate notification or just a summary of client activity when it comes to the vault, we can check off those selections via the vault activities. So we can get an email when the client uploads a file to the vault or downloads a file from the vault. And so we can check off 3 different things here. The first one is an immediate notification email when that activity occurs. The second option is to have a daily report email that will summarize all the activity we have checked off from here. And the other option is to have it be included in the notification center, which is that first page we saw with that long list of notifications. So there's going to be a couple other things that you can have checked off here for notification emails that you also have the ability to indicate, but the main focus is for vault activities if you're looking for that notification. Which is going to bring us to our vault at the advisor level that you can use to manage all the client vaults at once and also have a little bit more of an efficient process in terms of sharing documents across your clients, especially if you need a mass upload. So if we access the vault icon in the upper right hand corner in your advisor portal, there's going to be 2 tabs here. The first one is the main vault. Now here in the vault, this is where you can view all of your clients in their vault in one space. So if we're looking to see how many files do we have in each client's vault, we'll see that listed here for reference. And then in regards to client activities in the vault, we'll also see when the last file the client uploaded was and when the last file that the client downloaded was as well for reference. So you can see here we had some activity with John Smith last year, hasn't had any activity since. So maybe we're trying to have that engagement with him, or maybe that's a once a year thing that they usually will upload some of those tax documents towards the end of the year. Anything along those lines, we're going to see that activity also summarized here for your reference. But one of the things that makes this an efficient space to just check in on the client's vaults, you also can click on the header of your clients to access that client specific vault. So especially if you didn't want to necessarily go and open up that client plan altogether just to access their vault, you also can do so from here. So if we are looking to upload a file to this client, we can also do so by clicking on Add File. And then once again, you can then drag and drop that file, select a file from your computer, or choose to upload from one of the various sources. And you can also create folders here as well. So you can also do any of those items you might need to manage this vault. So if you were looking to rearrange the vault a little bit or just move files into different folders, you can do so. And you can do the same thing for any of the other clients. So we don't necessarily need to open up John Smith's vault via the client plan itself. We can do so from here and manage this particular vault if needed. So maybe we are looking to create a new folder to organize this a little bit better. We can then add that folder. And this is going to be our statements because we see I have a couple statements. We're going to hit the check mark to save the name change. And then we can just drag and drop this and put it into the statements folder. And now it's just organized a little bit better. And maybe this is when we have another folder for the client for our end of year checklist that we usually provide them with. And we'll hit the check mark to save the name change. Once again, just for reference, you're going to see that A icon because the advisor was the one that added this particular folder, or if they added a file, we'll see that as well for reference. But this is where we can access all clients' vaults across the board and very efficiently from here. Another very effective space to have a more streamlined practice for sharing documents that might be important for your clients all at once is going to be the shared documents folder as well. So under shared documents, this is where we can go to mass upload either a document that you would upload to all clients at once or to give them some folders as well. So let's say, for example, one of the very popular ones is uploading either that end of year checklist or maybe end of year postcard, or maybe you're trying to upload one of those very important statements that you usually give to clients in maybe the middle of the year or towards the end of the year and fall as we are in. If we're looking to do that, we can click on the Add File button to drag and drop that file, select it from our computer or upload from one of the various sources. And when we do upload that file, We can then click on the access control dropdown to select which clients we're looking to share this document with. So we can share this with either all clients at once, or if we have clients organized in client groups, we can also check off which client groups we want to have this document shared with, or indicate specific clients from the client list by selecting them. But let's say in this example, we want to have the end of year postcard shared across all clients at once. We can select all clients, and we've now shared that with all of our clients. And when we do share a document, this is something that the client can view and download, but they wouldn't be able to modify the name or anything along those lines. So this is going to be something that you have full control over in terms of sharing that document across all clients at once. So now, for example, if we went back to a client-specific vault, via the folder icon in the upper right-hand corner, we're now going to see in their shared folders, there's a document section that has a lock icon. We can click into this document section to see all the documents or folders that you have shared with the client via the shared documents folder in your advisor portal. So from here, we'll see that end of year postcard, the Happy New Year one that we also shared across all clients that we can access from here that we just uploaded. So the client would be able to view this document that we just shared with them. They can also download it for reference as well. So that's going to be some of the ways that we can leverage the vault in the advisor portal to share documents across multiple clients at once, and also to manage all your clients' vaults at once as well. But one of the other facets to the vault is going to be surrounding the templates usage. So if we go to templates, we're going to be able to create vault specific templates. Now, especially if you know that you will typically create folders for your clients to be able to upload documents in, or maybe this is a practice you do as well when you're working with them, especially in the onboarding phase. That might be when we're probably most engaging the client in terms of uploading their statements to the vault. Maybe we're uploading their insurance plans to the vaults, their 401k elections, things along those lines. If we know that that's a constant ask of the client, and instead of just necessarily creating a folder every time we are looking to have them upload that, we can create a more streamlined process from the advisor perspective with the vault template. So to add a new vault template, we can click on the add template button. So let's say this is going to be our onboarding vault template. So we can click on add template. We can click on the pencil icon to change the template name. Hit the check mark to save the name change. And then from here, we're going to start to add folders. So if we click on add folder, we can then title what we're going to be calling this particular folder. So let's say this is going to be our insurance documents for existing policies. And we know everyone's going to have 401k statements that we want to review, or elections. Let's look at tax statements as well. It's typically what we would ask for in this particular onboarding flow. And then let's add another folder to capture some of those other documents. And if we needed to modify any of these folder names for the vault template, we can do so by clicking on the three dots. We can then select rename, or we can delete it if needed as well. So especially if you already have an existing vault template you're looking to modify, you can certainly do so from here. And so when we do create that onboarding template, we can then apply this template to existing clients by clicking on the apply template button. So if we select apply template, we can then choose to apply this template to all clients at once, to client groups, or to individual clients by selecting them from our client list. Another very important factor to how we can leverage templates to streamline the process even further for yourself, and especially if we do create this onboarding template, this one that you typically would be using when you do add a new client to the system, we can also set this to be the default for our vault organization for new clients going forward by leveraging client groups. So if we go to the three dots in the upper right-hand corner and into client settings, this is where we can go to access our client groups. We can also create new client groups. So if you're looking to leverage client groups going forward and maybe have additional ones, you can certainly do so from here by selecting add group. But the important one for the default for new clients for those templates is going to be found based off of what we have indicated for the default for new clients for that client group, which for me is the current clients group. And we would select the edit button to access the default for templates for the new clients. From here, we can then designate which templates we want to leverage for planning access selections. Very important if you have a preferred selection for when you do add a new client, especially if you invite them straight away. Same thing for onboarding template flow. If you have a specific layout of the onboarding template, we can establish that from here. And the same thing for vaults. So for the default vault template, if we know that we prefer our onboarding template, we can select that from here. And when we hit save, going forward, anytime we create a new client, they're going to have that particular folder setup that we just established be already accessible in their vault as soon as we create that client plan. So this is really going to streamline that process for us and make it a little bit more of an efficient process, so we don't necessarily need to apply that template every time you create a new client. Now, with that being said, there are a couple other factors to consider, especially when you create a new client, in that you can also now include the vault in your onboarding flow. So if we go back to templates and into the onboarding templates tab, this is where we can go to establish an onboarding template, because I see this is also a question. But when you're looking to establish an onboarding template, right now the default should be just the RightCapital initial 6 steps of data entry, which is using the profile cards layout. But when we're looking to add additional planning tools, we can do so in the onboarding flow by establishing an onboarding template. So if we go to templates onboarding, you can then indicate which type of template you want to leverage for the visual layout for onboarding, whether you want to use the profile cards layout or the blueprint visualization. And the key thing from here is that you would check off which planning tools you want to incorporate in your onboarding flow. So you can include all of those initial 6 steps of data entry for family, income, savings, expenses, net worth, goals, and there's also vault as well. So if you are in that process and in your natural onboarding flow, requesting the client upload their own documents while they're still in the initial data entry steps or in the onboarding flow, you can also add that as part of your practice going forward by selecting vault in the onboarding template. So if we do create that onboarding template from here, once again, under 3 dots, client settings, and under client groups, you can then establish that as a default template going forward. So that way that particular layout of onboarding flow is leveraged going forward. So if we click on edit, you can then indicate which template you want to leverage going forward for new clients for that onboarding flow, and once again for vaults as well. So that's going to be one of the key things that you can leverage to just have that whole process be a lot more efficient for new clients, and especially if you want them to be in that particular layout going forward, you do have that ability available to you. Another key feature of the vault folders is going to be client specific. So if we just open up a client plan, and this is one of our more recent enhancements, and this is going to be for yourself as an advisor. So if you are normally of the practice of uploading reports to the vault every time you create one, we've now made it a little bit more efficient to do so. So if we go to the gear icon report section in a client plan, once again, gear icon report, this is where we go to curate a PDF report or a PDF deliverable. And so like I said, if you have that as part of your practice to upload a report for your reference into the client vault, you now have the ability to send that report directly to the vault. So if we just check off a couple things for this client report, for example, the dashboard snapshot and that nice 1 to 2 page report, maybe we're looking at retirement analysis and their poverty success, profile blueprint, we can make those selections. Or if we wanted to use one of our pre-built templates, we can also do so as well. That'll check everything off for us. So maybe we're using report template number 1. And then you have the option from here to download those selected pages, or you can download and save to the vault. And so if we just access that client plan and hop on over to the gear icon report section and scroll to the very bottom of the page, once we activate that template, we can then download and save to the vault via this icon. When we select that option, it's going to be downloaded directly to our computer with that PDF report. And we're also going to see that report uploaded directly to the vault. So that's just going to be one of the other efficiencies that we have in terms of your standard process of if you are typically uploading those documents to the vault, that's going to be already established for you. And so once we do have that report downloaded, we just scroll a little bit further up and go to the folder icon. And under the shared folder, once we do save a report directly to the vault for this client plan, we're now going to see a reports folder available. We can then click into the reports folder to access that PDF report. And then we can just have that for reference. And if at any time we no longer want to store this in the vault with the client, we can always click the X button to delete this report, and that'll remove this particular folder as well. But that's just going to be one of the newer enhancements that you can leverage to have that be sent directly to the vault rather than you going in and uploading that file every time you curate a report or whenever you typically would do that.